Hello everyone, my name is Ina Fischer and I work at Technical University of Munich. Today I want to present to you our research project with the title Keeping the Balance, What Makes a Good Dementia Telephone Helpline. Informal caregivers of people with dementia have a high demand for counseling, support and information. Telephone-based support services are a low-threshold way of responding to these various needs. The German Alzheimer Association responds to these needs by offering a nationwide dementia telephone service called the Alzheimer Telephone. The Alzheimer Telephone receives around 6,000 calls per year, with over 90% of their callers being informal caregivers of people with dementia. In our research project, we tried to find out whether this is a good telephone counseling service or not. We chose a qualitative and participatory approach to represent the caller's perspective. What we did as the first step was conducting 2 focus groups with family caregivers of people with dementia and asked them, what makes a good telephone helpline for you? Focus group participants mentioned many different and partially incompatible quality criteria. They said, for example, that counselors should not give too simple answers to complex requests, but overall, counseling must not be too complicated or overwhelming for the callers. On the one hand, participants expected a personal relationship with the counselor, but on the other hand, the counselors shouldn't act too informal or private. Other participants said that the counselors should be professional, but not too reserved or cold. Family carers agreed that counselors need to have a broad knowledge, but cannot know everything in detail. They stressed the importance of not being directly referred to third parties, but pointed out that the counselors need to know where to refer to. What becomes clear is that from the caregiver's perspective, the quality criteria for a dementia helpline diverged. We then thought about how we could capture this properly and decided on 3 continua, which we call balancing acts. Based on these 3 balancing acts, we analyzed the recorded and transcribed counseling calls. In doing so, we were able to identify different communication techniques that the counselors use to master the conflicting demands placed on them. As an example, I would like to look at some of the techniques used by the counselors. Not every caller's request is obvious and transparent at the first glance, especially when emotions are involved that are hidden behind a factual statement or question. We found that it requires empathy and consistent questioning of what is being said. This ensures that the caller's real concern has been addressed and that the conversation has not remained superficial. Take, for example, the call of an older woman whose son is living with early onset dementia. During the call, she repeatedly asked about the life expectancy of people with FTD. By answering the question with an estimated life expectancy and not digging deeper, the counselor did not address the caller's concern of not outliving her son. In some calls, counselors appeared in a rather private way, expressing the personal opinion as you would talk, for example, to a friend. In the majority of calls, though, counselors manage the balance between a too personal and a too professional way well by focusing on the caller's reality and leaving aside their personal opinion. Paraphrasing, which means expressing the person's core message in own words, aimed at making the caller feel understood and accepted, thus building a sense of closeness. There were calls in which the counselors were confronted with legal or medical questions. It was difficult to respond adequately to these questions, some of which were very individual. As a core technique, we identified to be aware and communicate the limits of counseling. By communicating the boundaries, a clear framework of what is possible in counseling was created. To conclude my short presentation, we found different balancing acts every counselor has to master during the calls. To keep the balance, they used specific techniques which overall were applied successfully. We will continue this research by asking the callers how they perceive the balancing acts themselves. Thank you for your attention. If you want to know more about our project, please feel free to contact me.